Hello everyone and welcome back. In this one we're going to go over the balance changes to Eldritch Altars in 3.20. In general, rewards have been nerfed, although there have been some changes which means we'll drop more of the particular currency we want. I'm going to skip over the TLDR because I've TLDR'd the other stuff. Okay, altar rewards. Instead of saying we're going to drop 3 additional currency, a map will now tell you we're going to drop 3 of a particular type of currency, such as Val Orbs, Divine Orbs. You get the picture. They've also removed low-level currencies such as whetstones and armor scraps. Yep, they learn. We don't like it. Now, because they've removed the lower currencies from the drop pool, but the pools are still in place, you will now drop divines more than twice as much as you would before from these particular reward types. Now, as before I got absolutely 0 of those, double 0 is still 0, but we'll have to see if that makes a difference. They've also made changes to divination cards and scarabs. Scarabs in general will drop less often. Now they have put a vendor SP in so you can roll these up 3 for 1 to compensate for that. Now as for divination cards, each one's going to tell you what kind of divination card you're going to get. So for instance, drops a divination card that gives you a chance to drop a flask or something, or a unique jewel, that kind of stuff. It's now no longer going to be possible to drop maps, gems, or influenced items from the altar mobs. So that's a big improvement in general. What are we still going to be able to drop? Currencies, scarabs, divination cards. You're also going to be able to duplicate currencies, uniques, scarabs, maps, and divination cards. Basically, they've reduced the number of items in the pool, which in general will give us more profitable stuff than we had before because you can't drop the lower stuff. Okay, next topic, boss rushing. So altars used to give you 2 different types of things. There was one that gave you stuff from Eldritch Minions, and another one that gave you stuff from map bosses, and each one gave you a downside to that as well. I used to do this as well. You go straight to the boss and kill it before you spawn altars. That means that any altar that spawns from that point on will no longer give you map mods, it'll give you the more profitable type. So how are they combating this? They're making the boss type more profitable and the minion type less profitable. And that moves us swiftly on to monster packs and altars. Now, GGG have said they've reduced the number of mobs that spawn from these altars by 1/3. Now, previously in a map, you could spawn exactly 60 altar mobs. They've now changed that so you can now drop between 20 and 60. So actually, at the lower end, you're actually getting 1/3 of what you had before, not a 33% reduction. So that's a massive drop, but they can still give you up to 60. So in general, with a reduction of 1/3, you're going to get, on average, 40 instead of the 60 or instead of the 20, but you will get those higher end and lower ends. Now, based on opening a couple of altars, it looks like you may be able to tell if a map is going to give you less or more. They do sort of mention it briefly. So less mobs means less drops. So if you get a double up from Eldritch monsters, you're going to get far less than you did before in general. Okay, and now we'll go on to the changes they're making to both Wrath of the Cosmos and Eldritch Gaze. Previously, if you're in a map with altars, you would scale off both because they weren't locked to a particular type, whereas the ones that lead up to it are. These weren't. Now they're saying they're changing this because too many players were going in and killing themselves. Now if players are going in and doing this over and over again, it's their own fault, because I did this when I first started and quickly backed off. Although they did point out that sometimes it was better to die and get the currency than not to do it at all, which is obviously bad. So they're leaving Eldritch Gaze exactly as it is, but now it will only apply to the Eater of Worlds altars. So Wrath of the Cosmos, they're reworking completely to be more like Eldritch Gaze. Instead of giving you the stats it gives you right now, it's now instead going to give you 50% chance to gain an additional upside. Now, if you do get an additional upside, it's going to increase your downside effect by 100%. So these two will work very, very similar to each other. The only difference being that they'll no longer be able to double up. So, in conclusion, this is a nerf to the way altars works, although as GGG have said, they wanted to lower its effect instead of completely gutting it. So it still works similar to how it did before. You're just going to get less mobs, therefore less drops. And you're going to have to fight more bosses than you did before, probably to get the same rewards. I'm guessing you're going to see the majority of the currency drops now on the bosses instead of the mobs. Now, the next manifesto you're going to get from GGG is going to be the Curse Manifesto, so keep an eye out for that. There was mention of a 5th manifesto. They've decided that due to the amount in the first 4 manifestos, and there wasn't a lot left, they're no longer doing the 5th manifesto. If you've liked this video or found it useful, then please tickle that like button, it'll like it a lot. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.